Alright guys, so this crankbait deal is absolutely phenomenal this time of year. It's the perfect imitation for these bluegill that are down there offshore spawning right now, and all you have to do is cover water and find these areas where these bluegill and these brim are spawning offshore, and you're gonna find big bass. That's where all the big bass are at right now, the big females that are feeding up post-spawn on these bluegill offshore. That's where you want to be if you're going to be putting together big bags this time of year. And there's two ways that I like to catch these fish. Number one, that's drop shot, really slow. I'm using live scope and I'm kind of like picking fish and I'm working them with the drop shot, and that works. Number two is a deep diving crankbait, and that has been absolutely destroying it. So today I'm going to show you guys what these fish are doing on active target. I'm going to try to get some shots of this crankbait going right through the strike zone and these fish hitting that bait. It's a whole lot of fun. Honestly, you could just find hard bottom areas where the brim are spawning. You can find brim beds using your side scan and run a crankbait over those things, and that's basically what I'm doing, is finding brim beds on the side scan and running deep diving crankbaits and things like drop shots over it. And that's how we're catching these fish. It's a whole lot of fun, and this is what you guys need to be doing this time of year. This is the pattern. This is the main pattern during the bluegill spawn. Brush piles are huge players today. Some of these fish are coming off of brush piles. The rest of them are coming off of like just kind of hard bottom areas where these brim and these bluegill are spawning on beds. And it's a whole lot of fun, man, because you can almost time exactly when that bite's going to come. You crank really fast to get your bait down there, and then you kind of pause and hesitate and slow it down and get it right there and steady in the strike zone. Boom.
OG Slim, baby. Bite it. Biggins.
We're out here cranking the bluegill spawn.
Yeah.
On the Harris chain. Getting it done.
That's what we do. That's a big girl. She's a 6'2".
Pound and a halfer.
Yeah.
Oh.
Stopped you. That's a good one.
That's the kind of fish that we're able to pull on these crankbaits, fishing these brim beds. Pretty sick. We're gonna do a little upgrade.
fish.
Alright guys, so let's talk rigs. It's very important when you're throwing deep diving crankbaits that you have the right rod and the right line setup. You want to use a cranking type rod, something that's got a lot of flexibility in the top half of the rod, because you don't want to be tearing through your line constantly as you're grinding into it with the resistance of a crankbait. So you want to make sure you have the right rod, then you want to make sure you have the right line. You can't be throwing too heavy a line with these crankbaits or you're going to lose a lot of your depth, and you really have to get into the strike zone. It's of utmost importance with the crankbait. So if you're trying to get a 10-foot diver to dive 10 foot, you're going to have to throw like 12-pound test. And you can kind of manipulate your crankbaits using different line, but I'm always going to be using kind of between 12 and 14, 12 and 15 with my crankbaits. Some guys throw a little less, some guys throw a little more. It just depends on what you're trying to do with your crankbait. But just pay a lot of attention to your line, because that's really going to dictate where your crankbait ends up. You want to kind of have it just barely knocking into the stuff on the bottom in the grass. Sometimes you want it knocking into it more, sometimes less. Also, constantly be paying attention to your line's actual condition, because your line's going to take some wear and tear and abuse as you're running that crankbait.